What's up guys, welcome back to a video. I'm out here in the rail yards in Sacramento. Today I'm talking about the DJI FPV drone versus the Mavic Air 2. I have both the drones now, but first I want to do a flight. I recommend a few things if you're flying your DJI FPV for the first time. You want a wide open field, you don't want much foot traffic, and preferably a spotter. I'm out in the middle of nowhere right now, so I don't have a spotter with me, but I do have one problem. If I crash my drone, there's fences all around me, so I'll have to hop the fence to retrieve it. So hopefully I don't crash. I'm taking off for the first time in manual mode today. So let's go for a flight and we'll talk about these drones afterwards. Damn, that was some good flying today. I did two things for the first time. I took off in full manual mode and I tried my first couple of flips off of the simulator. So good day of flying overall. Someone recently messaged me on Instagram asking how I like the DJI FPV drone so far because he's about to upgrade. And I said, well, if you only have one drone, there might be better options because the Mavic Air 2 does several things better. For example, it shoots 48 megapixel RAW photos instead of the simple 12 megapixel photos the FPV drone shoots. Second, it has a larger sensor, so it's better video quality overall. Third, it has a 3-axis gimbal compared to the single-axis gimbal that the FPV drone has. So it stabilizes the video footage in every direction instead of simply up and down. And fourth, the Mavic Air 2 allows you to shoot photo and video facing directly down. And with the FPV drone, you can only rotate the camera so far before you can't rotate it anymore. And I know a lot of the photo and video I get with my Mavic Air 2, I like to face directly down. So I think if you're only going to have one drone, then the Mavic Air 2 is probably for you. But if you want those really cool FPV shots, which I'll show you an example of now, then definitely go with the FPV. Okay, now let's talk about the DJI FPV drone and why I chose that as my first FPV drone. It's really quite simple. DJI eliminated all the annoyances with flying FPV and took them out completely. The first one being LiPo batteries. LiPo batteries have to be stored a special way, charged a special way, and they've been known to catch a house or two on fire, or even more than that. I live in an apartment myself, so I don't want to have to deal with LiPo batteries. DJI is also already known to have the best digital goggles and remote in the FPV game. And the nice thing about this FPV drone is that you can use the goggles if you decide to move on to a more professional build-it-yourself drone. I also like the fact that with the DJI FPV drone, you could fly in different flight modes. You have normal mode, which functions like the typical DJI drone. You have sport mode, which flies faster and more aggressively. And then you have full manual mode, which allows you to flip and basically takes the training wheels off completely. But as you learn, start in normal mode, then switch to sport mode, and then finally manual mode. And doing this will help you get used to wearing the goggles and flying the FPV drone in general. Probably the most amazing feature of all for especially a beginner FPV pilot is the pause button on the remote. If you're flying in manual mode and you lose orientation or get out of control, simply press the pause button and the drone will hover there. This eliminates crashing and it's really quite a game saver. It makes it way easier to land. And a good safety feature that DJI is already known for with their other drones is AirSense. AirSense will give you a notification in your goggles while you're flying if there's a nearby aircraft, because you kind of have tunnel vision with the goggles on. So it's good to know if a nearby aircraft is anywhere near so you don't accidentally fly above 400 feet or fly too close in their vicinity. And finally, the ability to take off and land in normal and sport mode. Taking off and landing in manual mode can be kind of tricky, especially landing, because it's almost like you're doing a controlled crash landing. But with normal and sport mode, you can land using the air sensors like a typical DJI drone does, where you hold down on the throttle, the drone will continue to move down and then slowly land on its own. It makes it really easy for a first-time FPV pilot to not crash land and to not crash in general on takeoff or landing. I had a lot of hesitation with FPV drones in the past, but it seems like DJI solved all these problems, which is why I went with the DJI FPV drone. I no longer have to build my own, they added safety features, and they have different flight modes to make it easier to learn how to fly. Anyway, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. New videos weekly. Guys living on a grid lifestyle here in Sacramento, California, Northern California in general, photography and filmmaking tips. I'm excited to include more and more FPV drone footage in my future videos, so you'll be able to see the progression of my flight skills. Anyway, I'll see you next week. I'm out.